The relationship between religion and transgender identity is complex and layered, shaped by historical beliefs, doctrinal interpretations, community practices, and evolving social attitudes. For many transgender individuals, reconciling their faith with their gender identity presents both profound challenges and powerful possibilities for acceptance, understanding, and spiritual growth. This video will explore the historical roots of gender in religious traditions, the theological perspectives that shape attitudes toward transgender identities, and the experiences of transgender people within religious communities, shedding light on an intersection that is both deeply personal and socially impactful. Throughout history, religious texts and traditions have contained nuanced views on gender, with some references to non-binary or third-gender roles. In Hinduism, for instance, Hijra, an identity encompassing people who might today be recognized as transgender or intersex, has been acknowledged for centuries, occupying a unique social and spiritual role. The Mahabharata, a major Sanskrit epic, includes characters that change gender, signaling a historical understanding of gender fluidity. Similarly, the Hebrew Bible mentions eunuchs, a group that, while not explicitly transgender, embodies an alternative gender role. In some Christian interpretations, eunuchs serve as early examples of individuals who do not fit into binary gender categories. As religious doctrines spread through colonial and missionary activity, gender norms often became more rigid, with many indigenous and non-binary understandings of gender suppressed or erased. For instance, pre-colonial Native American tribes recognized two-spirit people, individuals embodying both masculine and feminine traits, whose roles were often revered within their communities. The imposition of Western religious doctrines, however, frequently marginalized these identities, replacing them with more strictly binary conceptions of gender. Today, many faiths are rediscovering these more flexible gender roles within their own traditions, encouraging a re-examination of ancient texts and cultural histories. One of the most powerful influences on modern religious attitudes toward transgender people is theology. Many interpretations of creation narratives in major religions influence conceptions of gender. For example, in the Abrahamic traditions, the story of Adam and Eve is often used to justify binary gender roles, with male and female created as distinct and complementary. However, some theologians suggest that this interpretation may overlook the broader implications of such texts, which might actually reflect a range of human experiences. The presence of figures in the Bible, like the eunuch who was baptized by Philip in the New Testament, is increasingly cited as evidence of God's inclusivity toward those who may not fit traditional gender roles. Similarly, concepts of the body and soul are central to debates around gender and identity in religious circles. For some, transitioning can be seen as an alignment of body and soul, a way to honor the spirit's true nature. In contrast, others view transitioning as an alteration of divine design, especially when the body is viewed as a sacred vessel created by God. Hinduism and Buddhism offer other perspectives. In these traditions, the soul, Atman in Hinduism, transcends physical characteristics, suggesting that bodily change does not necessarily conflict with spiritual integrity. Thus, while conservative interpretations may regard transitioning as an unnatural act, others find theological support for embracing one's true gender identity. With the rise of progressive movements within many faith traditions, interpretations of gender have evolved significantly. Progressive theologians have been instrumental in reinterpreting religious texts to be more inclusive, arguing that Scripture can accommodate gender diversity when read in context. In Christian denominations like the Episcopal Church and certain Reformed Jewish synagogues, progressive leaders argue that God's love encompasses all gender expressions, advocating for fully inclusive policies toward transgender members. For transgender individuals, participating in religious life often involves navigating deeply rooted beliefs that may or may not align with their gender identity. Personal testimonies highlight a range of experiences, from painful rejection to uplifting acceptance. In many cases, transgender people find themselves in religious communities that struggle to reconcile traditional teachings with modern understandings of gender. This can lead to profound inner conflicts for those who feel a strong connection to both their faith and their gender identity. Some wrestle with questions about their worthiness or spiritual legitimacy, while others search for theological justifications that affirm their gender identity. Institutional responses vary widely, with some religious communities creating supportive spaces for transgender members and others maintaining policies of exclusion. The Roman Catholic Church, for instance, has historically taken a conservative stance on gender, framing gender transition as incompatible with its teachings on human nature. However, within Catholicism, there are movements advocating for a more compassionate approach. In Islam, views vary widely based on cultural and denominational factors. While some Muslim communities are strictly traditional, others are more accommodating. In Iran, for instance, gender transition surgeries are legally permitted and even partially funded, reflecting an Islamic legal opinion that views gender dysphoria as a legitimate medical issue. Within these communities, the specifics of religious rituals and practices can also create unique challenges for transgender individuals. For instance, Jewish practices may include gendered seating arrangements, and certain Christian churches have dress codes. These seemingly minor aspects of worship can pose significant hurdles, as transgender members may struggle with navigating gendered expectations in ways that feel authentic to their identity. Inclusive congregations have begun to adapt by offering mixed-gender prayer spaces and embracing gender-neutral attire policies, underscoring a commitment to honoring all identities. The growing movement toward interfaith and inclusive religious spaces has been a beacon of hope for transgender individuals seeking affirmation within their faith. These spaces emphasize shared human dignity and create environments where transgender people can engage in spiritual practices without fear of judgment. Organizations like the Metropolitan Community Church and Dignity USA have pioneered LGBTQ+ inclusion within Christianity, while similar movements within Reform Judaism and liberal branches of Buddhism champion gender inclusivity. Supportive clergy and religious leaders play a critical role in these movements, often advocating for change within their own denominations. Clergy allies like Rabbi Becky Silverstein, Reverend Paula Stone Williams, and Imam Dayi Abdullah are just a few examples of religious leaders who have used their influence to support transgender rights and foster acceptance. Their voices have not only uplifted transgender members within their communities, but also inspired broader conversations about gender and inclusion in religious spaces. To address the need for safe and affirming spaces, LGBTQ+ affirming congregations have emerged across various faiths, allowing transgender individuals to worship in environments that respect their identity. These communities provide vital spiritual and emotional support, helping transgender members cultivate a sense of belonging and connection to their faith that may be hard to find in more traditional settings. The creation of such spaces demonstrates a commitment to the belief that everyone deserves access to spiritual growth and community. For many transgender people, the journey through religious life involves both psychological and spiritual challenges. Religious trauma, a form of psychological harm stemming from religious experiences, especially rejection or condemnation, affects some transgender individuals who have faced exclusion or judgment within their faith communities. This trauma can impact mental health, self-esteem, and the ability to engage with religion or spirituality. Yet, for many, healing is possible through supportive religious communities, therapy, and re-engaging with faith in ways that honor their identity. Finding spiritual purpose and acceptance is another powerful aspect of the transgender religious experience. For some, spirituality provides a framework for understanding and affirming their gender identity. Practices like meditation, prayer, and religious study can serve as tools for personal growth and self-acceptance, helping transgender individuals connect more deeply with themselves and with God or a higher power. Intersectionality also plays a significant role, as factors like race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic background shape the experiences of transgender people within their religious communities. These intersecting identities can impact access to supportive networks, resources, and spaces for spiritual expression. As society becomes increasingly aware of gender diversity, religious norms are beginning to shift. Many religious institutions are revisiting traditional doctrines, with some denominations officially endorsing policies of inclusion for transgender individuals. The United Church of Christ, for example, has been vocal in its support of transgender rights, issuing statements that affirm the dignity of all individuals. Similarly, parts of the Reform Jewish movement and certain Buddhist communities have made strides toward greater inclusivity, advocating for a future where religious spaces honor gender diversity. Advocacy groups are also working to bridge the gap between religious rights and transgender rights, addressing issues such as discrimination and the complexities of religious freedom laws. Groups like the Human Rights Campaign and Keshet are actively engaging religious communities to foster inclusivity and understanding, supporting both transgender rights and religious freedom. The intersection of religion and transgender identity is a deeply personal journey shaped by tradition, belief, community, and individual experience. Although this intersection can be fraught with challenges, there is also great potential for growth, understanding, and reconciliation. As more religious communities and leaders embrace gender diversity, the possibility of a future in which faith and identity coexist harmoniously grows stronger. Whether through advocacy, education, or personal support, we each have a role to play in fostering inclusive, compassionate spaces that affirm everyone's right to spiritual and personal wholeness. Finally, we would like to express our gratitude for watching till the end. We hope you found the video valuable and informative. If so, please show your appreciation by hitting the like button and leaving us a comment below. We are eager to hear from you. In the end, we have a humble request to you. We are trying hard to keep you enlightened and empowered by creating awesome videos like this. Please support us by joining our membership program. The link is in the description. Your little contribution will inspire us to make more awesome content for you like this. The next video will be published tomorrow, so don't miss it. Till then, take care. More wisdom, more solutions, better life.